In the bustling streets of Lagos, the city that never sleeps, life was a chaotic dance of energy and survival. Among the crowd was Sani, a humble street vendor selling roasted corn to make ends meet. His stand was a small operation, just a wooden frame and a charcoal grill, but it provided enough to keep him going. Nearby, Sagan, a cheerful 12-year-old boy, was darting between cars, delivering fruits to customers for his widowed mother. Sagan was the light of her life, her only child, and her sole source of hope after losing her husband. Every day, he worked tirelessly to help her with their small fruit stand by the roadside. He carried the weight of responsibility with a smile that could light up even the dreariest day. But fate can be cruel. The day began like any other. Sani set up his stand early, fanning the flames under the grill. The aroma of roasting corn wafted through the air, attracting customers. Sagan and his mother had also set up their fruit stand. He was excited because a regular customer had ordered a large basket of mangoes, and he was tasked with delivering it. "Be careful, my son," his mother warned as she handed him the basket. "The roads are busy today." Sagan nodded, flashing his signature grin. "I'll be fine, Mama, don't worry." As he sprinted across the road, weaving between honking cars, the unthinkable happened. A keke rider speeding recklessly emerged from nowhere. The driver swerved to avoid a pothole, but instead veered directly into Sagan's path. The boy had no time to react. The keke struck him with a sickening thud, sending his small body flying into the air before landing on the asphalt with a bone-crushing impact. Sani froze, his hands gripping the corn he had been turning. The world seemed to stop. The chatter of the market died, replaced by gasps and screams. Blood pooled around Sagan's broken body, staining the road. The keke rider, realizing the gravity of his actions, fled the scene, leaving behind a trail of chaos. Sagan's mother, hearing the commotion, ran to the scene. Her wail pierced the air as she collapsed beside her son's lifeless body. She shook him, tears streaming down her face. "Sagan, wake up! Please, my son, wake up!" Vendors and passersby gathered around, their faces etched with shock and sorrow. Some tried to comfort the grieving mother, while others cursed the reckless driver who had fled. The weight of the tragedy hung heavily in the air, leaving everyone in stunned silence. Sani, still frozen, felt a deep pang of guilt. He wished he had shouted a warning or done something to prevent the accident, but it was too late. Sagan's mother clung to his body, refusing to let go, even as the crowd urged her to move. "We need to take him off the road," an older man said gently, but she shook her head violently, her cries growing louder. It was as if letting go of his body would mean accepting that he was truly gone. Eventually, the authorities arrived. They moved Sagan's lifeless form, wrapping him in a white sheet. Her mother's screams echoed through the market as she followed them, clutching the basket of mangoes he had been carrying. The sight was too much for some onlookers, who turned away, wiping their tears. The market, once vibrant and noisy, felt eerily quiet after the tragedy. Sani packed up his stand, his hands trembling. He couldn't shake the image of Sagan's smile and the horrifying moment it had been snatched away. Death was supposed to be the end, but for Sagan, it was just the beginning. His soul lingered, hovering above the scene. He saw everything, his lifeless body, his mother's anguish, the crowd's murmurs. He tried to reach out to her, to comfort her, but his hands passed through her trembling form. "Am I dead?" he asked himself, his voice echoing in the void. The days that followed were a blur of mourning. His mother's grief was unrelenting. Neighbors and strangers alike came to console her, offering words of sympathy and small donations. Sani, haunted by the image of Sagan's lifeless body, visited her often, bringing roasted corn and kind words, but nothing could fill the void left by her son's absence. Sagan's spirit, unable to move on, wandered the streets of Lagos. He watched life continue without him, the world indifferent to his untimely death. He saw his mother every night, clutching his photograph, whispering prayers through her tears. The sight broke his heart, but he was powerless to comfort her. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Sagun's mother sat outside her small home, holding the basket of mangoes he had been carrying that fateful day. She stroked the fruits absent-mindedly, her mind replaying memories of her son. The neighbors watched her with pity, whispering among themselves. "She hasn't eaten in days," one of them said. "How will she survive this?" Sagun's spirit stood beside her, his eyes filled with sorrow. He wanted to tell her he was still there, to let her know she wasn't alone, but no matter how much he tried, his voice didn't reach her. He felt trapped, stuck between the world of the living and the dead, unable to find peace. As the weeks turned into months, Sagun's mother began to deteriorate. Her once vibrant eyes were now dull, and her movements were slow and heavy. The neighbors continued to help her as best they could, but it was clear that her grief was consuming her. One night, as Sagun roamed aimlessly, he found himself drawn to the airport. A private jet was preparing for takeoff. Inside, a wealthy politician's son, Tunde, was arguing with his father. Tunde was pale and frail, his body ravaged by illness. Despite his protests, his father insisted he travel abroad for treatment. As the jet ascended, something went wrong. The engines sputtered and the plane began to plummet. In that moment of impending death, Sagun felt an inexplicable pull. Before he could comprehend what was happening, his spirit was drawn into Tunde's body. When Sagun opened his eyes, he was in a hospital bed, surrounded by doctors and nurses. Tunde's father was pacing nervously, his face etched with worry. "Tunde, thank God you're awake!" Sagun tried to speak, but stopped himself. He wasn't Tunde, but he quickly realized what had happened. His soul had taken over Tunde's body, giving him a second chance at life. Life as Tunde was a blessing and a burden. Sagun attended elite schools, mingled with wealthy friends, and lived in a mansion. But his heart remained with his mother in Lagos. Using Tunde's wealth, Sagun secretly helped her. He arranged for a new home and a business in her name. When she received the blessing, thinking it came from a kind stranger, she wept tears of joy. But despite the comfort of his new life, Sagun's heart always longed for the simple love he once knew. He could never reveal the truth. Instead, he continued helping others, creating scholarships and opportunities for children like him. Eventually, Tunde's body began to fail. Knowing his time was short, Sagun wrote a heartfelt letter to his mother, revealing everything. After he passed, the letter reached her. She read it with trembling hands, tears streaming down her face. She clutched it to her chest, whispering prayers of gratitude and heartbreak. Sagun's soul found peace, knowing his love had reached her, even beyond death. And though Lagos continued its bustling rhythm, those who knew Sagun's story carried with them a reminder. A mother's love never ends, and neither does a child's love for her.